Hi everyone and welcome back. In this lesson, we will learn the first verb tense for this course, and that's the present simple tense, which is also sometimes called the simple present tense. Let's first listen to a dialogue. The two people are meeting for the first time at a language school.
Where do you live?
I live in London.
Do you live in London?
No, I don't live in London, but my brother lives in London.
Okay, all the sentences in this dialogue use the present simple tense. So let's first take a look at the basic structure of the present simple tense. We'll first take a look at the positive statement in the present simple tense. I live in London. I live in London. To make the positive statement, if the subject is first person, second person, or a plural form, we use the base form of the verb. And when I say the base form, it means the unchanged form of the verb. So we say, I live, you live, we live, they live, and Sam and Tom live. However, if the subject is a third person singular noun, such as he, she, it, or Jack, we use the singular verb form lives. So we say, he lives, she lives, and Jack lives. So in the dialogue, we saw this sentence. My brother lives in London. My brother lives in London. In general, most verbs can change into singular verb forms by adding s at the end. But some verbs change by adding es at the end, and some verbs change by adding ies. Again, we have a resource sheet with a comprehensive list of how verbs change into singular forms. So do refer to that sheet for more details. Let's take a look at a few more example sentences. You live in Manchester. They live with their friends. She lives in a flat. I live with my parents. Sam lives in Winchester. Okay, so let's now do a speaking practice of these sentences. Repeat after me. I live in London. You live in Manchester. They live with their friends. She lives in a flat. I live with my parents. Sam lives in Winchester. That was great, well done. Now, to form the negative statement, we use the auxiliary verb do and make sentences like this. I don't live in London. I don't live in London. Now, first, what is an auxiliary verb? The word auxiliary means helping. So an auxiliary verb is a helping verb, and it helps the main verb. The verb phrase in this sentence is don't live. The auxiliary verb is do, and the main verb is live. The role of the auxiliary verb in the sentence is to help form the negative statement, and the action the subject does is related to the main verb only. And to make this verb into a negative form, we use not with do. So do not live is the negative verb form. In speech, we generally contract do not to don't and say don't live. Similar to the positive statement, if the subject is first person, second person, or a plural form, we use don't in front of the main verb. So we say, I don't live, you don't live, we don't live, they don't live, and Sam and Tom don't live. However, if the subject is a third person singular noun, we use does rather than do. So we say, he doesn't live, she doesn't live, and Jack doesn't live. When we use an auxiliary verb, the auxiliary verb changes to match the subject. So the main verb does not change. So we say doesn't live, and we never say doesn't lives. So do keep that in mind. Let's take a look at some example sentences. You don't live in England. He doesn't live with his parents. They don't live at home. We don't live in a house. Sally doesn't live with her sister. Okay, so let's now do a speaking practice of these sentences. I don't live in London. You don't live in England. He doesn't live with his parents. They don't live at home. We don't live in a house. Sally doesn't live with her sister. Great job, well done. Let's now do the final quiz for this lesson. In the final quiz, you will see sentences with blanks, and you have to say the correct sentence using the appropriate form of the verbs in the brackets. After you have said the answer, you can listen to the correct sentence. Let's begin the practice. Jack likes apples. We love pineapples. They don't know the answer. She doesn't know the song. He knows my address. I don't know the answer. Fantastic effort today, well done. Okay, so in this lesson, we learned how to form the positive and negative statements in the present simple tense. We have a practice lesson next, so do make sure to take that lesson for further speaking practice. See you soon again. Bye bye.